usual. It's just like our intermediate family. Like I said earlier, we had a accident with our intermediate family, so we've been kind of struggling with that. So that's why we didn't have the big Thanksgiving this year. We tried to keep it simple. But did everyone overeat? Because holy smokes. We definitely did okay on that on our end. There was plenty of food. We celebrate 2 Thanksgivings. We'll celebrate with my family, and then we'll also celebrate with my husband's family. So we get 2 Thanksgiving meals, plus leftovers, plus desserts from everywhere. So like I said, we definitely weren't shy in that department this year. But Thanksgiving, the best part about Thanksgiving is really just getting together with family and friends and being thankful for the small things. Like our health, that's something that we don't always say that we're thankful for. But if you would lose your health, then very quickly you would become very thankful for good health, if the option is possible at that point. So that's why it's so important to take care of yourself while you have health, and be grateful for your health, and to look at it as a gift instead of as a given, because that's just not the case. I wish it was that easy, but life says otherwise. You only have one body. You have to take care of it, treat it right, because a lot of times people don't realize that until it's too late and they have an ailment or a disease, and it's just too far gone at that point to be able to fully recover. So that's why we're always preaching to respect our bodies, try to watch what we put on it, and also what we put in our bellies, with food and chemicals and products and so many things that we don't even think about every day that we're exposed to, and potential illnesses that it can cause. On the radio today, it was a commercial, and it was talking about all these autoimmune diseases, and it's like, where did all this autoimmune stuff come from? Like, that wasn't a real big thing back when. It's becoming much more prevalent. So it's like, autoimmune means your immune system is automatically responding to something. So what is the something? I didn't really think much of it originally, but now it's like there's a cause and effect here, for sure. So if anyone knows much about autoimmune diseases or has experience with it, let me know so I can freshen up my knowledge on that department, for sure. But with Thanksgiving just coming around and all of us overeating, then we have Christmas right down the road, and New Year's as well. So a lot of times in dietetics in school, we would call that the Bermuda Triangle of dieting. Sometimes people will get stuck in the Thanksgiving, Christmas, and sometimes New Year's eating habits, which are not good. But with eating, always, like, don't wait till New Year's. Don't say, oh, diet starts Monday, diet starts New Year's. Like, the next day is always a new opportunity to eat better and to make a better decision. Not saying that you will, but you always have to wake up with that mentality, like, not like, oh, I did bad for Thanksgiving, I did bad for Christmas, let me just continue to eat, because then that's how you gain 5 or 10 pounds unexpectedly, is from continuing the bad eating behavior. So it's just something to think about. With nutrition, they teach it just like addiction. You will fall off. No one's going to have a perfect diet for their whole life. It's just impossible. But once you fall off, the faster that you get back to the top and start trying to do better, the better for you. The easier it'll be for you. So once you fail at your diet or have a bad day, the next day you need to contemplate your decisions, try to do better, and the sooner you do that, the better for your waistline, for your stomach size, where it won't stretch out from eating excess for Thanksgiving and the holidays. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining. But yeah, so I wanted to get on here just to talk to you guys about not falling off the horse because of the part of the year that we're in. It's something that we don't always think about until the next year, like I said, after New Year's, and it could be a little too late at that point, or just you have more weight to lose, or just to get back to your goal, whether it's weight gain or weight loss. If your goal is weight gain, then this is your season. But it's so important to take accountability for what we put in our bodies. We want to be accountable, we want to be aware, and we want to be educated on everything that we're putting in our body, because our diets have gotten so far gone with chemicals that it's pretty much impossible to avoid. But what we can do is minimize. We have to think about it like that. It's the same thing with eating. It's not the all or nothing, it's not like, oh, I can't avoid them, oh well. That's not the way to look at it. It's like, just slowly chip away at the iceberg is better than doing absolutely nothing. I watched a video the other day, and it was like, why are people in Japan so successful? And they live by these few very small life rules, but very smart if you ask me. So one of them is you always want to leave a place better than when you arrived. And that's something that we can learn in America for sure, because there's always trash and just, remnants of someone being there, where if you show up to a park and you see a piece of trash, instead of stepping over it, pick it up. Like, that's how they make their community better and cleaner. And then they also had one tip which I thought was really cool, that you have to say, if you don't have a workout routine or a routine and something just in general, that say, I want to start hooping in the afternoon, I just haven't been doing it, okay? I want to start exercising. They say, just do 1 minute, or just do 1 push-up, do 1 crunch, and more than likely, whenever you get in the position to do the 1 crunch, that you're going to do more than 1. So that's the motivating factor right there. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me. That would work with my brain. I could just tell. But, or also, say if you would just do the 1 push-up a day, that's 365 push-ups a year that you didn't do. So we can't always neglect the small things, thinking that, oh, I have so much going on, this isn't important, because the small things are important, and that's how we maintain order and maintain our weight and just maintain our health. It's like, so I really like those couple little rules. I'm trying to think what else they had said in the video. But if you ask anyone that's traveled to Japan, everyone says how clean it is, and just how the community does really well as a whole, versus fighting against each other. Like in America, we feel too entitled to do this or pick up someone else's trash, but that's not the way to look at things. It's also something that the Indians live by, is to give more than you take from the earth. So if you go, for instance, whenever they would hunt with arrowheads, they would hand carve these rocks into arrows and then attach a stick to them for hunting. And once you kill something with your arrow, once you kill something, whenever you kill it, you would leave the arrow there. And around here you can find arrowheads all over the place, and I never understood why, but that's why. If they kill something in the hunt with the arrow, then they leave the rock, which is natural as well, or something potentially that someone else can use in the future. I was like, that's really cool. But so that's kind of how we all should live our lives, is just to be aware. You always want to be a positive influence on situations, or like I tell people with our work, we treat everyone with respect, but we also expect the same in return. You know, like we don't not give respect and then expect it in return, you know? So we try to be a positive influence on our community that we serve, and it's worked out thus far for us. It's amazing what a little respect and just understanding can do. A lot of times people, you don't know what people are going through, you know, like no one does. Everyone puts on a strong face. You ask them how they're doing, they say great, okay, fine. You know, rarely do people tell you the truth. So everyone has their own internal battles and struggles. And it's just important to be kind to people. You know, like I'm the type of person, just with the industry that we work in, I don't judge someone by the way that they look. I don't care if your fingernails are dirty. I don't care where you came from. As long as you're respectful and you treat me like a human, I'm going to do the same in return. It's really that simple, you know. It's like, it's not about status quo. I hate people that are like, oh, I'm here and the status ring. Like, it's like, get over yourself. Like, there's a whole world out there. Get over yourself. Try to be a positive influence. You want to make people feel good. You want to, people won't always remember what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. So that's why it's important to just be a positive person. Try to put your best foot out there, and to treat everyone on a equal playing field, you know. Like I said, I don't care. So many people are like, oh my god, their fingernails are dirty, like they're just trash. Like, it's like, that's not the case. They probably work hard. They might have some unforeseen circumstances. Like, you don't know their struggle. So just be kind and keep an open mind and treat everyone the same. And we kind of get what we give, you know, when it comes to our work environment. And like I said, they give us respect back. It's not that we expect it, they just do, because we've developed relationships with them, and we're kind to people, regardless of where they're from. So, but back to our dieting talk. So instead of getting lost in the sauce, with your diet, it's time to hop back on the train, because we've all been off for the most part, maybe a few exceptions. Like I said, if your goal is to gain weight, then this is your season. Like, go for it. Bring as many leftovers home as you want. But for anyone who's trying to lose weight, it's time to step back, say Thanksgiving's over. We are thankful that we had to had our bellies full all week, or just Thanksgiving, whatever it was. But now it's time to get back on the horse, try to make some good decisions to compensate for the bad decisions that we made all week. And that's how maintenance is really achieved, is ways like that. So that's what I wanted to hop on and talk to you guys about, is not falling off and falling into the trap of, oh, I'll start for New Year's. Because there's a lot of time. There's pretty much a month between here, today, and New Year's, minus a day. So you know how much damage you can do in a month? Like, don't do that. Because that's how, like I said, it gets to the point where we can't catch it, and we can't get back to where we were, and then the next year it's another 5 pounds, and the next year it's another 5 pounds. Like, I've been on the upward crawl, so I totally understand the struggle, and it is defeating sometimes and discouraging, but nobody's gonna do it for you. So you just gotta grab the reins and take control and make the adjustments where you need to. But so we are officially out of leftovers. So that's the good news. That'll definitely help us. We try to eat like portion controlled meals at night, so that also helps. The only downfall to the portion controlled meals is that we're not always like full, and then we tend to want to snack more at night. So that's really the only downfall, but we'd probably snack anyway and then eat a bigger portion if we didn't have the portion controlled meals. So it's been working for us thus far, And then for like lunch, I always try to not eat a real heavy lunch, especially if you work away from home. You can eat a lighter lunch, because after you eat and you go back to work, you'll be distracted. It's not like you're just sitting on the couch watching TV and thinking about food, you know. So the easiest little trick is definitely to eat a light lunch, because you'll forget about it as quick as you did, you know, your hunger. So it's just something to think about. And then for breakfast, it's good to start your day with some food, because what happens is whenever the first food that you digest after sleep will get your metabolism going, get a kickstart on your metabolism. So if you do eat a light breakfast, it's actually better for your metabolism and for your weight maintenance. Hey everybody, thanks for joining. We're talking about our Thanksgiving eating habits, how we're not gonna let them catch up to us, and we're gonna try to hop on the horse and grab the reins and take control, so we don't gain 5 to 10 pounds before New Year's and then we decide to do something. It's about prevention, accountability, education, knowing where we are. How many calories are you supposed to be consuming a day? That is so important. Everybody needs to know that. You can ask AI to calculate how many calories you're supposed to eat in a day. You can also ask it to calculate your total energy expenditure, your TEE. It will account for your weight, your height, your age, all the different factors that affect your metabolism. And it can give you a good roundabout of how many calories you're supposed to be consuming a day. That'll be your total energy expenditure, your TEE. It's a very complicated formula, so you can just go ask AI, like, can you calculate my TEE, my total energy expenditure? And AI is going to ask you a couple questions like, what's your sex, your weight, your height? A couple basic things, like I said, stuff that does affect your metabolism. And it can get you a good roundabout of how much you're supposed to be eating in a day. Because if you don't know that, then you're pretty much just a sitting duck. You have to have that knowledge to be able to know where you stand if you're trying to gain weight, if you're trying to lose weight, or just with anything, you know, so you can know where your starting point is and figure out a plan from there. So that's important. You want to educate yourself in that department so you can know and not just, you know, kind of assume or guess, because it's probably different from what you assume that you're actually burning. But your total energy expenditure will be how many calories that your body burns in a day. It also calculates your activity factor. So if you don't work out, then it'll account for that. Or if you do work out, it'll add calories for your workouts. So, but your total energy expenditure will be how many calories you burn in a day, just with like your body, your heart beating, your digestion, all that requires calories. So whenever you calculate your total energy expenditure, it'll give you that amount, how much you're burning every day. And that also takes into account your activity factor, which is important, because if someone is working out every day, then they're allowed more calories. That's just kind of how it works. Input versus output. You can't input more than you're burning, because that's when you start to gain weight. And it's just a really good base point to have, so you know, like I said, where you stand, how much you can eat. So like for instance, mine is 1,500 calories, okay? So when I'm going to eat a meal and I have the calories available, or I can find the information, I'm always looking for something less than 500 calories, you know, because for the most part, I can't have a meal over 500 calories to stay within my recommended calorie range. So it's just something to think about, but you want to know that information so you can do better and have a good baseline to go off of. And like I said, don't like let yourself be like, oh, well, I've been eating bad for Thanksgiving all week and Christmas is coming up, screw it. Like, that's what we're trying to avoid. Correcting the behavior as fast as possible is the best case scenario for everyone. So, like I said, unfortunately, no one's going to do it for you. I wish someone could diet for me so I could eat all the snacks. But it just doesn't work out that way. You're the one feeding yourself. You have to be accountable for what you're putting in your mouth. That's just that. But if you guys have any questions, thanks for joining. I always appreciate you guys being on here. And I hope that I'm providing some information that is useful for you guys. Like I said, whatever your goal is, if your goal is to lose weight, like most people, a lot of people want to gain weight, or some people just want to maintain. You have to know that information so you can have a good baseline. And it'll just put things into perspective for you. Like I said, like if I'm eating 3 meals a day, and like I said, I'm always looking for a meal under 500 calories. But just say all of my meals are 500 calories and I'm eating 3 meals a day. That's my total calorie range. Like 1,500 calories is what I can eat in a day without gaining weight. So if I do eat 3 meals with 500 calories, that doesn't give me any room for snacks. So it's just something, like I said, it gives you some information to base your decisions off of. And everyone will vary slightly, but it is a good information to have for sure. So I usually don't eat breakfast. Sometimes we'll have like a fruit in the morning or something like that, but for the most part we don't really eat breakfast, so I don't have to include that in my meals. So I'm eating 2 meals a day at hopefully 500 calories. That's kind of like the range I try to find. Anything over 500, if I'm eating over 500 for that meal, I'll compensate or try to compensate with my next meal or the meal before. But that's where the power comes into play, is that you have the knowledge, so you can't just like passively eat and be like, oh, hopefully I lose a pound tomorrow. You know, like this is giving you real information that you can base your decisions off of. So if I have 2 meals at 500 calories, that's 1,000. So that gives me 500 calories, but I want to eat in a calorie deficit. So say, give me 200 calories for snacks. Then you also have to include like your milk or anything that you sweeten coffee with. Coffee itself doesn't have any calories, but the sweetener does. So if you do drink a lot of coffee, it's something that you do need to factor into that. Because say, if I'd be eating my 3 meals at 500 calories and then having my coffee as well, I'm not accounting for that, that's putting me over my calorie range right there, just the coffee. So, but that's why it's important to have those numbers that you can kind of plug in and kind of know how much you should be eating per meal based off of how many times you eat per day and how many snacks you can have, or if you can have any snacks, you know. Or sometimes eating a lower calorie range for your meal, or having the option to, or thinking like, okay, well I can have a snack later, will motivate you to make a better decision for your supper or your lunch or something like that. So that's kind of how we factor it in. And then having something to just distract your brain, because a lot of times you're not hungry, you're just bored. I'm famous for that, wanting to eat when I'm bored. It's like if I'm busy and I'm doing something, I wouldn't even think about food. But because I'm just lounging around, being lazy, it's nighttime, I know it's snack time, that your brain just starts to make you believe that you're hungry. So that's always important too, is to try to find something that can distract your brain into not being hungry. Whether it's like an art project, or if you have a little workout that you can do at home, or instead of going grab that snack, do like they do in Japan and just go do that one push-up and see where it takes you. Might bring you to only one push-up and then a snack, but you did that one push-up and you had your snack, so you're moving one step in the right direction with the push-up. Like, and it's more of like being mindful. You want to be mindful in the fact that you're adding and subtracting from your intake and your output, and just to have some accountability, you know, like it'll make a huge difference if you decide to go pick up your hula hoop or a little workout routine that you have in the afternoon versus going and picking up a snack. That'll totally change the game for you, for real. Like, so it's about small little tweaks and quirks and finding out what works for you, and just, you know, kind of going from there, because everybody's different, everybody's brains work different, we all have our own bad eating habits. But they always say, like, for instance, what I'm talking about, like, they say that you shouldn't force feed kids, especially while they're growing and stuff, because what you do is you teach them to ignore their hunger cues. So, like, if it's supper time, you're like, okay, it's supper time, kids, and the kids are like, oh, I'm not hungry. If you force them to eat, eventually they will stop listening to their hunger cues, and they will just start eating out of habit. Like, so as much as you want to, as a parent, to maintain structure, their bodies are changing and growing, and you need to let them let them listen to their hunger cues versus telling them when to eat. It's very important. A lot of times kids that overeat they'll come from homes where it's like supper time is at this time every night. I'm guilty about that, you know, like I'm like, oh, it's almost supper time, instead of being like, am I hungry? You know, like it doesn't matter what time it is, it's like, am I hungry? And another thing that the video that I watched said was to, on a scale of 1 to 10, to eat to an 8. You never want to be at a 10, like Thanksgiving 10, that's a 10, okay? You want to be at an 8. You don't want to be hungry still, but you don't want to be over full either. I always learned in dietetics, on a scale of 1 to 10, to eat to a 7. So if you're trying to get a calorie deficit or to maintain, probably 7 to 8, you know, depending on your body, your metabolism, your age. Like, there's so many different factors that can affect it. But I thought that was a cool little way to try to guide yourself. And whenever you're eating, like, the food has to settle so your stomach will know that it's full. So if you're just like shoveling food into your mouth, it's not ideal, because the food's still moving down. And like a lot of times when you ask your mom, you're like, hey mom, I want another plate. She's like, okay. She goes and she starts fixing the plate, and then all of a sudden you're sitting at the table and you're like, I'm not really hungry or that hungry anymore. That could be why. Your food was still settling, still going down your esophagus, and hadn't made its way down all the way down to the stomach yet. And at the very top of the stomach, there's a little circle where it connects from your esophagus to your stomach. And until the food touches that little sphincter, is what we call it, once it touches that sphincter, it signals to your brain like, hey, you're full. So that's why sometimes you get that hunger cue when you're sitting there waiting for your second plate, because it's still going down, and then boom, it hits your sphincter and you're like, oh man, I'm really not hungry. So eating slow is very important for that reason. You don't want to shovel food into your mouth, and you also want to enjoy it. So that's important. And then, like, I was watching a girl, she lost like a ton of weight, eating in a calorie deficit, and she was like, the first bite of cake tastes the same as the last bite of cake, you know? So she was like, really be mindful, enjoy that first bite of cake, appreciate that first bite of cake, and you've gotten that taste in your mouth, you know? So like, let it linger in your mouth for a little while longer if you're there for the taste, you know? But I thought that was like a good point, is that and she was like, if you want to just sit there and overeat and eat in excess, go eat some vegetables. And I was like, that's a good point, because you can gnaw on vegetables all afternoon, and they're so low cal. A lot of times vegetables, like I know Oh man, what's the vegetable that they always serve with carrots with wings? Celery. Celery, it takes more calories to chew celery than it actually has, so you'll be in a calorie deficit with the celery. But you know, she's right. It's like, if you want to gnaw on something all night, go grab a pickle. A pickle is kind of my secret snack. It does have high sodium, which can make you hold fluid, but I'd rather hold fluid than eat something that's going to put fat on my body. The fluid will drain out eventually. So, but if you're hungry at night and you really are really hungry, then go eat a cucumber with vinegar, or go do some broccoli, anything like that. It's so low cal. So if you're feeling like you're food deprived and maybe you're not getting enough in your calorie range, then adding veggies is the most ideal solution. But even fruit is going to have some more sugar in it than veggies naturally, because they're sweet. But an apple, it takes some time to eat an apple. You know, it's a lot of food. It really is. And I think they're like 120 to 150 calories per apple, versus that is how many calories are in a small individual size bag of chips. So it's like, you might still be hungry if you just ate the bag of chips as your snack, but if you replace the bag of chips with the apple's a better option. It's going to make your belly more satisfied and full, and you won't have that hunger cue or that hunger pain. So I really liked her approaches to it. She was a little rough around the edges, you know, but she just has some points. It's like, it's true. And like I said, no one's going to do it but you. So you just have to do your best, educate yourself, and figure out how many calories you're burning a day. Ask AI. AI will walk you through it. You need to know your total energy expenditure, and that'll give you how many calories you're burning in a day. And if you're trying to lose weight, you need to eat a little bit less than that. If you're trying to gain weight, you need to eat more than your total energy expenditure. And if you're trying to maintain, then you're gonna eat exactly what your TEE, your total energy expenditure, tells you. So that gives you like a guide where you can know about what you need to do, where you need to go, that type of stuff. So it's always important to know our bodies, and like I said, appreciate our health while we have it, guys. Like, don't take it for granted, because well, there's like a saying, it's like, people give up their health for wealth, and then they'll give up their wealth for health. And like, what a silly concept, you know? Like, that's not how we should work. It should be like, we want to maintain and take care of ourselves, for our futures, for our children, for our families. But really, like I said, taking accountability, having the right approach, the right mindset is very important as well. You just want to be thankful for the opportunity to make a better decision, and really, like I said, just have the information and the knowledge. We've been so bad over the years of just like consuming whatever is available, but that's not always the best thing to do. Yes, the apple is so much better for you. And that's kind of like my thing, because my calorie range is pretty low. I always feel like, oh, poor me, I can only have one bag of chips. My husband can have 4 or 5, and you know, I'm the only one that has to deal with the consequences of overeating. But after that, I was like, okay, if I'm feeling that way, after I watched Homegirl's video, I was like, I'm gonna eat an apple at night. So we just slice a little apple, and just much more satisfied. And a lot of times you'll stop before the apple's even gone. So it's like, your belly's happy, you're happy, your calorie range is happy, and everyone's, you know, doing the right thing, and we have our foot in the right direction. And it's really little, very little things like that with diet, like very little, that'll make a world of a difference. So that's a little bit of advice I have for you guys today. Don't get stuck in the Bermuda Triangle of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's when it comes to the diet. We want to correct our behavior probably starting now for most of us. Definitely for me. We had a rough weekend. Like I said, we celebrate Thanksgiving twice, so just double the trouble, right? But I will be back later in the week. I've been so busy. I did a Black Friday sale with my hula hoops, and we had a very, very good sale. I'm very grateful for everyone who purchased a hula hoop for the season, whether it's for a gift or for yourself. But once I catch up on my hula hoop orders, which will be probably by the end of the week, I'm going to get back into the minerals. We go over like vitamins and minerals, and we went over like the macronutrients, which is carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Just giving out information, and hopefully people can connect the dots maybe and being like, hey, this might be what's going on with my body, and this is something natural that we can do to fix it, instead of looking for chemicals for the answer. Like, come on guys, let's wise up here. I was on the chemical train for a long time too, just never even thought about it, to be honest with you. Like, a chemical, a pill, that type of stuff is not going to heal us. It might prevent the symptoms or mask the symptoms, but the way to good health and moving in the right direction is with diet and nutrition and reducing chemical exposure, not adding more chemicals. You know, like I was on like a skincare journey, and I was like, I need the perfect thing for my skin. You know, I'm starting to see some signs of aging. And after doing all my research, I came down to the conclusion that the face product with 4 ingredients that I knew what the ingredients were was the best decision for my skin. Skin has made a total 360 now that I'm not putting all of these chemicals on it. If you look on the back of your product bottles, you'll be like, holy smokes. I mean, no wonder we're a sick society. It's just from everything that we're exposed to, and every day, eventually it'll add up. Just like we talked about with the calories, we're doing something positive. If you do one small positive thing every day, it will eventually add up. It might be a slow progress, but every time that you do it, you're putting your foot in the right direction versus staying like stagnant. So that's our little tidbit for the day, guys. Thank you for joining. And if you're interested in anything like wellness and nutrition, that's what my specialty is. I graduated in dietetics, and I did a whole internship in dietetics as well. So I am very knowledgeable on the subject. If you guys have any questions, I'm always happy to answer. You can put them here on live, or if you don't catch me live, then you can just comment, and I'll be happy to answer your questions, know the answers, find the information that I can share with you guys. Definitely share, like that's what I've been saying, and like I'm learning from you guys as we're doing all this. But if we don't share the information, then that's our biggest downfall. One of my best friends, she was having eczema problems, and then I told her, you know, a couple things that my dermatologist taught me, and sure enough, her skin clears up. You know, it's like let's not all be sitting ducks. Like, let's share this information. Let's get good products out there. Like the face product that I use, if you haven't been on here, is beef tallow, TALLOW. Go check it out. There are some dupes out there, so you got to be careful. I get mine from Based Supplies, but there's no paid promotion here. Like, I just really like the product. It's really one of the cleanest products that I found on my clean product journey. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. There's no financial gain from this. This is just knowledge gain that I can give you guys. And like I said, everyone's been sharing information, like what they do and little like remedies that they have. And you never know, like something that we share here can totally change your life. Like, my skin has changed, and I've had skin problems for 10 plus years. Like, I thought my skin was just never gonna be good, and here I am today. So that's why we're here. To Mr. Beast, the biggest YouTuber, he on the way up, they started a group, and it's like they would learn from each other's mistakes. They would share mistakes and like the fixes, so the other people didn't have to make the same mistake. And it's like, oh my god, duh, you know, like, it's just like the experience, but not having to experience it. And that's the best way, just to prevention, like we were saying with diet, to prevent the issue with your health, instead of having to run into it and deal with it yourself. Well, I hope everyone has a great afternoon, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.